very neutral, and a few times I just openly said it, and I make buttons now because I'm not with the RLT chamber, but I'm with Bandy, so don't tell my Bandy city councilors. But one of the things, I just really love the way you work with community groups. You really welcome people in, work collaboratively with groups, and just made it so it's really cohesive. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thanks, Bob. I'm also happy with the work we did together when I first, came to City Hall. I think one of the greatest things we did, especially for the Francophone community, was renaming the Orleans Sports Center the McCrory Center. So for that, thank you very much. I thought that was really strategic on your part. Now let's go to the next roaster, a good friend of Bob, somebody that sits on City Council with him for a number of years now, close to a decade, somebody that's very successful in business, somebody that's been instrumental to Stittsville, so came all the way from Stittsville to Orleans today for you, Bob, so that's a great friend.
A really long way.
And, but most importantly is that Mr. Qadri has been very instrumental in building core community centers and associations in Stittsville. And through his tireless efforts, for example, he's worked with the Stittsville Village Association and done a lot of great things. And from having engaged with him personally on all kinds of issues, he is just an overall great guy. And one thing's great about Bob and Shad is that they always compete for Senator's swag. So I think there's a little bit of competition going on. So I'm going to welcome him to the stage, and maybe he can tell us a little bit more about that. So, Councillor Qadri.
Always. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs. You just heard good comments, good stories about Councilor Monette from our distinguished Mayor Watson. I'm here to tell you the real Bob stories. A Bob that you may have not known, or maybe even you don't want to know him. Bob, you and I go back, I guess, since 2006. That was a good year, by the way. And, we talked, as somebody just mentioned, about sports competition. We talk regularly about sports. So I brought some gifts for you this evening. And the gifts basically tell the audience about your passion about sports. And I remember the day Jody Middick got elected as the commissioner for sports, and I saw the tears coming down your eyes at that time. But, that's done and over with. You ended up being the deputy mayor. And I don't know if the mayor ever told you that deputy mayor is just glorified councillor, right? There's no cash reward for that. Even though you have to travel from Stittsville to Navan to Osgood to Orleans, still no cash. When you and I were speaking, we said, I would come out to you, or just to the Orleans, or Orleans, and talk about yourself. The one thing I forgot to tell you, you paid for my gas back. And based on that, I took the 95 out here, so we got a lot of gas to pay for. Anyways, let's talk about our favorite sport. There's your first gift this evening. Just to remind you, Bob, that I know you're a great sports fan. So I brought something for you to blow in terms of the games, right? Doesn't work, right? There's one failure tonight. There you go. There you go.
Hey, Bob! Hey!
And just in case you're sitting on a hard seat at Lansdowne Park, got you a cushion. And you remember Lansdowne Park, right? Obviously. How can you forget, right? When Lansdowne Park got announced, and we were at the ribbon cutting along with all my other colleagues and the mayor, Bob was so excited. he was more excited than David Gourlay on winning the championship. And I thought, you know, how a child, I've got a couple of grandsons, young ones. You know the look on their face when they just finished in the diaper? That was the look on Bob's face. I almost thought, well, there was something wrong. What's going on here? And then he finally came to, and he says, let's go get a picture taken in front of the plaque. Sure. Why not, right? The only problem was, the plaque was on the other side of the field. So I don't know what Bob had to drink that afternoon, but it was good afternoon. So anyways, good story on the football. There you go. Now, none of these items are autographed. I just want to let you know that. You'd have to get that on your own. And somebody mentioned something about a cow. Brought your hat, Bob.
Put it on, put it on, put it on, put it on, put it on.
No, leave it on, Bob, because this story gets a little longer.
Don't mess the hair.
You know, I don't know whether people in Orleans ever heard about a beaver. Now, this item I cannot gift you, Bob, because that would be a regifting. There was a story a couple of years back about the cow on the cheese factory rooftop. That news made it all the way to the United States. And that was the only time the United States paid attention to the Ottawa City Council. At the same time, in big old Stittsville, there was a story breaking about the beaver. And Bob came running over because my story made it a little further than the US. He said, what's going on here? I said, what are you talking about, Bob? He said, well, your story made it all the way out to India. I said, thanks for the reminder, Bob, because in India they don't have beavers. And then our worship, Mayor Watson, was shopping at a fair, as he usually does on the weekends. Got me a present, a beaver carved out. Oh. Bob always boasts about the paraphernalia, sports paraphernalia that he has in his office. He's got everything. He's got a football, a helmet, a soccer jersey, a Champions jersey. I'm not going to tell you how he got all that stuff, but anyways, that's all there. I'm just hoping the Integrity Commissioner doesn't find out, but we'll worry about that later. So all this sports paraphernalia in his office, and we have a competition usually around the playoff time in the Sens. He decorates his window in his office, and I do the same thing, and we then hope that a media comes around and says, whose window is the best? Usually he ends up winning. Until, I guess a couple of years ago, or maybe about a year ago, I said to Mr. Willings, John Willings of the Ottawa Sun, I said, his stuff is not autographed, mine is. Come over and take a look at this stuff. And, you know, so he did. And he still said Bob's window was better, believe it or not. You know, the cow story isn't going away anywhere, because we've included that story in Bob's new name, Bob Monette. I mean, who else can get so excited about a cow on a roof? I remember when that story first came out, initially, and I went over to his office. I said, what's all this for? He said, can you believe that? The bylaw department went over there and measured the height of the building with a cow on top. How is that fair, he says. I said, Bob, don't worry, I agree with you, it's not fair. And then next week, the story got bigger and bigger. I said, you know why bylaw was really there, Bob? To make you famous with the cow story. Then I hear all of these wonderful things that Mayor Watson just mentioned, and I'm saying to myself, really? is that the real Bob? Or is this the real Bob? Now, you know, I don't know how many of you are young enough to remember a program when they used to announce 3 names, sit you in a seat on TV, and then ask you questions, and some fictitious question, and somebody would say, well, would the real Bob Monette stand up? And that's what I'm asking you to, Bob, tonight, to see if you can stand up with this picture. And the reason why I'm fancy with this picture, oh, where's the mustache, Bob? Anyways, you know, I remember that kind of picture too. That's what I had here. You still have some, but another term in council will get rid of those too. Don't worry. You know, at the council table, there are, you know, a couple of colleagues that have some famous sayings. My colleague, Councillor Shantiri, his famous saying is you can't, you know, blow and suck at the same time. Bob's favorite saying is, educate, don't legislate. And that saying, if you don't hear it at least once every council meeting, you know the council meeting is finished, because Bob hadn't spoken on that particular line. The first time we heard it was, I guess, back in Larry O'Brien days. At least that's when I heard it. And at that time, we were having a little bit of discussion in the city between, you know, the needle exchange, 1-for-1 needle exchange. And there was Councillor Shantiri, Councillor Monette, and myself that were doing some work on it. And, you know, Bob says, where are these needles? Because everybody's talking about picking up needles in the market area and other areas of the city. And Bob, to his wisdom, never used that line during that discussion about legislate and educate. But in terms of the education part, Bob is absolutely correct. That, you know, before you start legislating, and I'm not trying to give you a sermon, a political sermon, so rest please, to educate, not legislate. And that's been Bob's motto all along. And that's how Bob has survived so many years. And I don't mean survive, I mean be successful with so many years of work, accomplishments, as well as representing the community over all this time frame. When I met Pat, and I'm saying to my wife, Teresa, boy, she's so quiet. And Bob's so vocal. And Teresa said, no, he's quiet too. I said, well, not at city council, he's not quiet. He gets upset quite well. And if you don't know that, just ask Mr. Melnick. Bob looks after his community very, very well. I've been here on numerous occasions working with Bob and, you know, working inside his community. And people always thought that all these Indian places, food places around Ottawa, where am I doing? Or come and ask Shad, where's the best place to eat Indian food? No, sir. His doctor is determined that 75% of his blood is spicy. And tonight, he's proven that with that great food from Government Food. Keep calling him Bob. I have a lot of respect for Councillor Monette. The reason why I have that respect is Bob is one of those extraordinary people that come into people's life and change your life or make an influence in your life one way or the other. And that's what my friend Bob has done to my life. Right from day one, being a rookie councillor back in 2006, he said, you know, the first conversation I had was with Councillor Monette. And, you know, we got along and everything until we realized who the mayor was at that time. And Bob was a deputy mayor, and we all took turn at being a deputy mayor at the time. And Bob calmed the nerves down and said, don't worry, Shad, it's going to get better. Let's hope, he says. But, you know, the Larry O'Brien years were not bad years. It's just that there was a little bit of, I guess, disorganization, if you want to call it that. And then you get our new mayor, Mayor Watson, where you go from disorganization to a very well-organized organization, to a point where everything that Mayor Watson does is calculated, is respected, and is best for the city. And that's why Councillor Monette, working with Mayor Watson, as well as Councillor Taylor, the deputy mayors, the two of them, they work so well together as a team. And that's why I think Bob is such a fan of sports, because he appreciates the teamwork. And the teamwork that he's put into our team, as well as teams like the Ottawa Champions, teams like the Red Blacks, the Fury soccer team. The only team you really haven't got to yet is the Ottawa Senators. And the reason why I got that hockey stick for you, Bob, I know when I first came into council, you tried to tell me what was good for Stittsville. And I remember last campaign, my campaign launch, Mr. Leader was there, you were there. We were doing our business as a campaign launch that evening. And there's Bob and Cyril standing in the corner talking. I'm just wondering, what the heck were you cooking up out there that night?
Bringing the senators home.
Home.
Orleans.
Oh, Orleans. Don't think they're coming this far east, if they leave Canada or Stittsville, but let's keep dreaming. So the hockey stick, Bob, was just to remind you that yes, I agree with you, every part of this city is great parts, including Orleans. And my family lives out here, so I'm fully familiar with Orleans. The only thing is, the Senators are still in Stittsville. And for now, anyways, but one day when the Stanley Cup, and they become more famous, that will send them to Canada, I think. Right, Alan? Yeah. In terms of this evening, I mean, thank you for opening your pocketbooks and for a great fundraiser. And this fundraiser will not only help Community of Orleans, but it'll help this parish. And whether you go to this church or whether you go to any other religious institution, irregardless, you need the dollars. This church really needs the dollars. So please open your wallet, contribute to my best friend's fundraiser. More importantly, a roast. And you know, when somebody said to me a roast, you know, coming from the old country in a sense, I said, what the hell is a roast? I thought they were going to take Bob out, put him on a barbecue, just to give him a little bit of color to go along with the Indian food. But then I found out what the roast really was, and I said to myself, you know, Bob, does Bob know that in Ottawa there's no burn permits, so you need something like that to get a permit to burn? But anyways, I've taken too much of the time in for now. In terms of this evening, for me, yeah, it's an opportunity to say a few compliments, but more importantly is to get the crowd to laugh with you and at you in a sense. In terms of these props, someday they're going to be really valuable once you get them autographed. Now, you know, you're just talking about autographs. If you want to hang on to the mic, can't see anything. Something called the Ottawa Senators jersey. I won't tell you this is from 1967. No, it's not produced. Anyway, there's another present for you, and cherish it. Anytime you come out to Stittsville, make sure you have it on. Because that's the passport to Stittsville. Thanks very much. Thank you very much, Eric. The floor is all yours.